Welcome back, guys. So today I got a cool one for you. I'm currently working on a project using Motion Blue version 5, 256 gigabyte micro SD card project, and I figured, hey, while I'm working on this, why not showcase Motion Blue version 5 and the ease of use with building your own image with it, the process starting from the beginning to the end, and just, what's so special about this base image? What makes it unique? What makes it easy to use, and just kind of highlight all those benefits to Motion Blue version 5. So I figured, hey, let's do a how-to tutorial / showcase of the base image and just make a little project out of it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this party started. Okay guys, so to get started on our Motion Blue image, what we're going to want to do is download the base image from David Marty. So this is just going to be the first and simple, easy step. I'm just going to briefly go over it. I've gone over it plenty of times in other tutorials, but here we go. Grab this bad boy from David Marty's channel on YouTube, and I will link that in the description. Go to his channel, smash that like button, subscribe, drop a comment if you so choose, and download Motion Blue version 5. So you're going to get that. You're going to unzip that bad boy. Make sure you know the location of where you unzipped it. And then the next thing is you're going to need Win32 Disk Imager. If you don't already have that, I'll put a link in the description. Download it, install it. Very easy program to use. So open that bad boy up. I already have her opened up right here. So open her up. And this first bar right here is going to be your image file. So you're going to go ahead and search for it. Wherever you have it, go ahead and grab it. Boom. Now we have that whole path leading to the image in the image file section here. And then device. This is the important part. I don't have multiple devices plugged in at the moment, but if you have other drives or other cards inserted into your computer, you're going to have to make sure you select the proper drive letter. Make sure that is very important. You don't want to overwrite a hard drive or something else you have attached to your computer that you don't want, to lose that information. I've done it before by accident. It was no big deal, but it still kind of sucked having to deal with that. Make sure correct letter. From there, you're going to click write. Depending upon the speed of your micro SD card and your writer that you have attached to your computer or built into your computer, this could take a short while. It shouldn't take too long because it's under 10 gigabytes, but it will take a little while. So give it a moment and go grab a snack, get something to drink, whatever the case may be. Boom. Once she's done, pull out that micro SD card, plug her into your Raspberry Pi, and then we're going to move on to the next step. Let's go ahead and check her out. Okay, guys, so upon first boot up, it's going to ask you to input your device. So go ahead and follow the prompts. Press the keys corresponding to what it's asking you for. If you come across a button that your controller does not have, go ahead and hold down a button that you've already defined to go ahead and skip that button. Now, once you get to the bottom of the configuration, it's going to ask you to put in a hotkey. Go ahead and use the select button on your controller or spacebar on a keyboard. I typically use a keyboard, so I'm using spacebar. Once you have that done, we are ready to move on to our next step. Okay guys, so our next step is going to be going ahead and going over to the Retropie configuration screen. Press A, get into that bad boy. We're going to want to do a couple things real quick like. So the first thing, we're not going to go to tracked mode yet. First thing we want to do, make sure we have our Wi-Fi enabled. Unless you're using Ethernet cable, but hey, if you're using Wi-Fi, go ahead and go into Wi-Fi. And now in Wi-Fi, go ahead and hit enter to connect a Wi-Fi network. Find your network. I think this one's funny. Get your own Wi-Fi. But this one is mine right here. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter, and I'm going to input my password. Hit enter. It'll connect us, and we will be good to go. There we go. So let's go ahead and exit out of there. Okay, then the next thing we're going to want to do is go to Raspi config. So go ahead and hit A on there. Now we're going to want to go ahead and go to interfacing options. It's going to be the first thing we're going to do. So you're going to scroll down to that, press right or press over to get to the select where it's select at the bottom, and then hit enter on your keyboard. We're going to want to make sure SSH is enabled just in case. So you go ahead and enable that. You'll open that up. Would you like the SSH server to be enabled? Click yes. Server is enabled. Usually it's not enabled. I'm not 100% if this was already pre-enabled in this image, but just in case, go ahead and enable it because it is going to come in handy to be able to SSH in. Next thing, just in case, expand your file system. So you're going to go ahead and do the same thing. Highlight select on expand file system. Hit enter. Bam. Root partition has been resized. File system will be enlarged upon next reboot. So go ahead and hit A on enter. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and finish. And it's going to ask us if we want to reboot. So might as well go ahead and reboot now. So go ahead and click reboot and let her reboot. Okay guys, the next step we're going to want to do is go to Retropie configuration once again, and then right here where it says show IP, go ahead and hit A on that. It'll pop up and give you your IP address for your system. Write that down, take note of it if you don't already know it, because it could come in handy. We may need it, and it's going to be pointless going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So go ahead and jot that down now, and we should be ready to jump back onto our PC and start making the magic happen. So let's do this. Okay guys, so back on our PC, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and get into your Explorer and open up your network. You should have Retropie listed. Now, if you double click on that bad boy and it does not let you in, I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes we have these issues, but typically you should have no problem getting in. But if you do, you can also use WinSCP. Download that bad boy. You're going to need your IP address, and then it's going to be the same credentials as what we're using right here. So it's saying enter your credentials, username. Username is Pi, P-I. Password, Raspberry. Boom. And we are in. So with that, we have our BIOS, our configs, ROMs, and splash screens options, our folders. The ones we're really going to look at is, for the time being, it's going to be ROMs mostly. BIOS, we're also going to want to put our BIOS files in here because there's going to be a lot of systems that will not work if you do not have the correct BIOS on your system. So I have a complete collection. I typically just drag and drop everything just in case because I never know what I'm going to expand upon. But go ahead, find your BIOS, throw them on here for whatever systems you need. If you need to find out what the BIOS files are called, you can go to the Retropie setup, Google that, and you'll find a nice little guide on what the file format should be and what the BIOS should be. I'll link that in the description for your reference so you can take a look at that. But where we're really going to want to be at right now is our ROMs. So opening up ROMs, we're going to have all our systems and our collections that Motion Blue version 5 is set up for. So just as an example, NES. So we opened up NES. Now you're going to have multiple folders here. Box art, card art, flyer, marquee, snap, and wheel. Typically for our video game systems, our non-arcade stuff, we're going to put in box art, we're going to put in a video snap, and we're going to put in wheel art. Now for other things, you might want to do other stuff like you could have your marquees for your arcade stuff and the flyers and whatnot. But typically for a console system, we just want box art, snap, and wheel. You can also do your card art. It's just going to depend upon what kind of theme you're using. But those are the ones I typically use for consoles. And as you see with Motion Blue, none of this stuff is populated. So what you're going to want to do is, in this folder where we're already in NES, you're going to put your games in here. And then you're going to put your art in whatever corresponding file. Now, or folder, I mean. The file name for your art needs to match the name of your ROM for the game. Now, the other thing with that, and I'm going to show you, with Motion Blue, every system has a game list already pre-populated for you. These are already made. If you alter it or you rescrape, you risk screwing some stuff up. So before you do anything, I would highly recommend making a backup of your game list. So you can go ahead and copy and paste it. It'll take just a quick second. As you can see, it's not a huge file, but for just a basic XML, it is, a little over 3 megabytes because of all the information contained within. But if you make a copy of it, you're good. If you ever screw up the other game list, you can just delete that one and then put this one back to the original name, gamelist.xml. So that's just a tip from me to you. You're welcome. But with that said, if you go ahead and open this up, and we're going to go ahead and open it with Notepad++, you're going to see some interesting information. And this is going to be very useful for when you're formatting your games and you're trying to find everything and get everything set up properly. Because you could still use Motion Blue or Retropie or any other setup that has pre-existing game lists, and your games still might not show up. If your games do not automatically show up with the corresponding artwork that you have added in either Emulation Station or especially Attract mode, it's because your naming is not the same as what the game list has. So if you take a look here, like 10-yard fight, we'll use that as an example. 10-yard fight, space USA, comma, space Europe, blah, 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 dot 7-zip. That's going to be the name of our game. That's the file. If your file doesn't match that, you might run into some problems. So you need to make sure your naming is correct. And then the same thing with your art, your box art, your wheel, your snap. As you see, that's how it's set up for NES in this game list, and that's pretty much what I said I would normally use. So that's what this is going to use as well. Box art, wheel, and snap. And they're all going to have the same name as what we have here. So just make sure everything is compatible with Motion Blue by ensuring that your game and your artwork is named the same and follows what's in the game list. If you have an issue and your game's not showing up, open up this game list. Boom, you can Control F to find. Let's say we want to find, Legend of Zelda, and find out how come our Legend of Zelda is not showing up. So then we look, it's supposed to be Legend of Zelda, and then the USA. What? Ours doesn't say that, whatever. Then you can change, and I would recommend changing it on your actual game. Don't change it in the game list, because you're going to have separate game lists for Emulation Station and for Attract mode. I'm pretty sure they're going to pull from the corresponding one. If you make backups, you'll be fine. But I would highly recommend making sure you change the name of your ROM and your artwork to what it says in the game list instead of editing the game list. Unless for some reason the game list does not have your game, then by all means change the information, add it, whatever you need to do. But that's pretty much it. That's how you get started with Motion Blue. And this is the one thing, and this is the biggest thing as far as making this image an easy image to work off of, is that you don't have to do anything but add your games and your artwork and keep it to the same naming conventions that these game lists use. So it makes it amazing. It makes it easy to do. And that's how we're going to do it. We're just going to add our games and our artwork, and then double check, make sure the naming is the same as what we have on here. Now, if you have like Hyperspin ROM sets, for example, your artwork and your games will probably most likely be these names already. But like I said, if they're not, go ahead and cross-reference and change them, and then boom, you are in it to win it. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I'm going to have a lot more to show as far as the progress of me working on this 256 gigabyte project, which I just think is going to be pretty fun to do and interesting to showcase some stuff. So I just wanted to get you guys started on what I'm doing, let you see for yourself how you can utilize this image. And with that said, I hope you guys appreciate that. Smash that like button if you could. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And I will catch you guys next time. Boom!